spirit of 1.8 million West Virginians wills you to victory. Other places have pro teams, but in this state, the Mountaineers are a way of life.
When I competed and wore that number, I competed for the state and for the people, not just for the university.
Now, let's roll out the carpet and bring on the Mountaineers. That's not a spree. Yes! Alexander. Robinson comes goal. It's a dunk right at his face. Send it in, Joe. Butler into the lane, into traffic. It goes again. West Virginia has won its first Big East championship.
So long, Big Blue. Hello, Golden Blue. The West Virginia Mountaineers are going to the Final Four.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back to the Country Roads webcast. As always, I'm your host, Jordan Cruz, joined with my co-host, Steven.
What's going on, everybody?
And we are here to talk about the West Virginia Mountaineers' victory over the Morehead State Eagles to move to 3-0 on the season. They pull it off 75-57. They're in the Coliseum, get their third win of the season, and this will be, kind of our instant reaction feelings to this one. We're going to have a WVU Hoops podcast episode dropping here in the next couple of days where we're going to preview, Friday's upcoming game against Penn and talk about, the opening to the season. But in this one, we're just going to focus on this game, kind of give our reactions to it, what we saw, how we felt, and more importantly, let you guys guide the conversation in this one, whether you're tuned in live on the Country Roads webcast, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. We appreciate you tuning in on any one of the three that you're tuned in on there, and be sure and drop your questions, comments, concerns in the chat there, and we'll address all those along the way as we go throughout, and we'll kind of talk about the numbers a little bit along the way. So let's do that right now, Stephen. Starting it off, West Virginia, one of the things they want to do this season is they want to shoot more shots than their opponents. They achieved that goal in this one, shooting 12 more shots than Morehead State, 62 shots to Morehead State's 50. Both teams, shooting in the 40% range. Morehead State finishing exactly 40% on field goals. West Virginia 47%. Both teams kind of struggled from behind the three-point line. 26% for Morehead State, 23% for the Mountaineers. Rebounds were a tie, 33-33. You'd like to see the Mountaineers have a better advantage there, but they do have a better advantage on the offensive glasses, which is something the Mountaineers want to see. In one way, they were able to get off more shots than Morehead State. And despite a slow start to this game, I thought the second half they did a better job offensively. But the big stat, of course, is West Virginia forces 20 turnovers. Morehead State committed there, and that's something they want to do this season, force turnovers, and they've done that and trying to limit their own, and they do a good job of that as well, only ended up with 10 turnovers. So, just going over some of the team stats there, Stephen, what kind of stood out to you there numbers-wise for the Mountaineers in this victory they were able to pull off?
Again, I think that, West Virginia, as much as we pride ourselves on, being a team that likes to take the ball away and vice versa, usually in the past, whenever we've been a team that's good at that, we've been also good at turning the ball over right back. So we haven't really been able to be we haven't been able to secure the ball in the past, but one thing that I've liked about this group is that they've done that a little bit better, albeit against a little bit lesser, competition. I'll put Pitt in there as a pretty good opponent, and West Virginia still held their own pretty well, securing the ball against them. So that, again, is a stat that keeps jumping out at me. I really hope that West Virginia can keep that going forward. Can't speak tonight for some reason. I apologize. But that paired with how well they shot the ball in the second half. Like you said, in the first half it was a little rocky, but in the second half I thought West Virginia got the ball going on the offensive side of the ball, and a lot of that was transition points. But
Yeah, I think
I
so
got to
too.
be
They really
honest.
got it going.
Like I told you before we joined this, I fell asleep in the later part of that second half. These West Virginia
It
games,
happens.
when they start to get pulled away, they're like therapy and like story tales to me. So
Yeah.
they
Hey,
put me
well,
right
the
to sleep.
good thing about that is that West Virginia, they kind of took hold of it late in the first half and never let it go to the point where you felt comfortable enough that you could, rest your eyes a little bit. So that's the positive side of it, right?
Yeah, I guess that is the positive side. I've been like that ever since I was around like 7 or 8 years old. I can remember. I'd wake up during like the last few minutes of a basketball game, and for whatever reason, I've always been like that. I don't do that with football so much, but with basketball games. I love basketball. They're very exciting. It's not that they bore me to sleep. It's just that
Well,
something about
especially
West
some of
Virginia
these
basketball.
the early season ones, something about those two. I think they're that way, and depending on, I think a lot of times it depends on what network the game's on too. Sometimes you get these ESPN Plus broadcasts and stuff, and I know when West Virginia used to be, back when they were in the Big East before, I know some of their like smaller conference games would be on just like the local channel. You'd have to find it, and it would just be like local announcers, and those would always put me to sleep football wise. And so, this one being on ESPN Plus, one of those early season games, I think, maybe attributes to that as well. But I've definitely done it myself, and you definitely can catch me taking a nap or two every now and then, at least once a day.
Hey, I'm getting older now. For those of you that don't know, I just finally turned over that hump and hit 30. So as they say, I'm now an old man, and I need my
Yep.
naps, man. I need those. I need to conserve all the energy that I can.
Now I'm glad you brought it up because I was gonna rag on you, but I didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't know if I should rag on him or not for turning 30 because I'm gonna be there,
Rag
here
away,
in a
man.
few months or whatever. But I guess I should while I can. While you're 30 and I'm still 29, I'm 29 and holding. That's what I'm gonna tell people. Even when I turn 30, that's what I'm gonna say.
Hey, man, that's what I'm still telling people. Like my cousin told me the other day at my grandfather's surprise birthday party. He said I'm 28 with shipping and handling, and I believe he's
Hey, there
around
you go.
33 or 34 now. So that's that. I'm 20. I'm 26 with shipping and handling. So we'll go with that.
Even better, even better.
There you go.
Let's see. Let's go to chat here. Got some people hopping in. Appreciate you guys for doing so, and as always, welcome to do so. And we encourage it. Actually, really encourage that communication with you guys as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. And in turn, one way to help us do that, if you're tuned in here on the YouTube side, like the video, that'll help its performance and help future videos performances as well. And subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't already. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. And if you're tuned in on Facebook or Twitch, of course, more than welcome comment here. We'll respond to those as well. And I know you can't necessarily like the video and subscribe like you can on YouTube, on Facebook, and Twitch, but you can always share it, and that really helps us as well. And we appreciate that. But Old Gold and Blue Show in here, appreciate you chiming in as always. Izzo about to steal one from Cal. He said, "Yeah, I think Steven, you got that one on over there, don't you? What's the score over
Uh,
there?
I
Second.
actually I turned off the live feed of it. Hold on, I got to get it pulled up back here. Give me just a second. I know the
How dare you?
I know that I know that Kentucky had it tied up a second ago. Let's see, it's true. Yeah, let's go. Not a lot. You won't agree with me on this, but very exciting. Michigan State 80, Kentucky 76. 48 seconds left.
Oh, okay. So it looks like Izzo is going to pull it out. Steal one from Cal. And what's Kentucky? What's Kentucky ranked right now? Second? Or are they
Fourth.
fourth? I knew they was up there in the top
Yeah,
five
they're
right
fourth.
now. Okay. All right. So that's a nice little upset going to be. I was kind of pulling for Oscar to have a nice season, but I'm not going to be mad to see, Coach Cal get taken down and to see an upset. I'm never going to be mad about it, I guess.
Speaking of, I never realized that Coach Calipari was from Clarksburg. Never realized that.
Ooh, interesting. I didn't know that was the exact spot either.
Yeah, apparently. Well, I noticed whenever they post the whole thing about the coal miner, coming to their the preseason game. Um, that circulated and went viral, that he posted and said that whenever he grew up in Clarksburg, he remembers, seeing his dad do that. And I was like, huh, I never realized that that's where he grew up.
Huh. I didn't either. Well, you learn something new every day, I guess. Let's see. Run to read here. Good to see
Yeah,
you in here, man. Appreciate you always chiming in. You're always commenting on the videos and such, and I appreciate you doing that. And appreciate you chiming in here with us live. And good to see you in here live. It says, thought I saw Mitchell or Matthews defending their guards a few times. Could this, in preparation for us using the 1-3-1, remind me of Ebanks or Culver, who could guard smaller players? Yeah, I don't know necessarily. I definitely think that this team is structured in a way that they could utilize that if they want to. I mean, I think there's multiple players you could put out there on top, whether it's Emmett Matthews, Muhammad Waggy, I think even Trey Mitchell. But definitely did see Mitchell and Matthews defending guards at times. I don't know how much Mitchell will do that, but Emmett Matthews can definitely do that. We've seen him do it in the past, and specifically when guards have been really hurting West Virginia, even in the game, not this game, but the game prior that West Virginia played when the shorter guard they had was hitting all the threes. They did put Emmett Matthews on him to help shut him down. And Emmett Matthews has guarded, some tough players in the past. I think about Texas Tech and, Jarrett Culver, I believe was his name, that was with that Texas Tech team that went on to play in the national championship game that West Virginia beat in the Big 12 tournament. And Emmett Matthews scored 28 points in that game and also defended him and held him to one of his season lows. So I think Emmett Matthews has the potential to be a really good on-ball defender, and he can definitely defend the guards. But what about you, Stephen? Any thoughts there on Run to Read's comments or questions involving the 1-3-1 in the future?
I think, like you, I think we definitely have the link to play the 1-3-1 this year. So yeah, I think it will be really, really great. I think 1-3-1 would be, paired great with, the press if they wanted to transition from one to the other in the half court at least.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think we've seen kind of some token pressure this year, but they're not really been trapping with it. It's kind of just been, come up there, get in the face, and then, full court man to man, but not really a pressing type style. But I'd like to see them at times. And I expect that they will break that out. And the only reason I think we haven't really seen that extensively, personally, I think they're saving that for that tournament over there in Oregon. They're probably going to break that out then. I think we'll see some press then. And who knows, maybe see some 1-3-1 then. That's when the competition is really going to step up, starting with that game against Purdue, coming in the next couple of games. That's when we're going to really start to learn a lot about this team. But agreeing with Old Gold and Blue Show here, he says, I like our squad this year, hungry to win. And I would 100% agree with that. Like I said, we're going to learn a lot then, but that's a statement I would 100% echo right there.
Yeah, I absolutely love this team so far. There's a lot to love about it. They're talented defensively. They're talented offensively. They can get out on a run and transition, and get you, up on an alley-oop ball. And there's a lot of things to like about this team. And I would agree. Going down to one of their next comments, the Emmett is a much improved player. He very, very much is. I think he's a night and day player from the last time he was dressing up for us. But and that's not to even say that he was a bad player before. He was a really good player before. He's just greatly improved on a lot of things that he was weak in, I guess, in a lot of areas that he was weak. And the shots that he did hit tonight were very impressive shots. I love the fact that he can, hit a spot up shot right in the defender's face. That's one of my favorites. That's the thing I love about Trey Mitchell too. I don't think I have to say anything or say enough about that kid, but Trey Mitchell is the truth. And very thankful that the transfer portal is now a positive for West Virginia in some way.
Very much so. Trey Mitchell quickly maybe becoming my favorite player on the team. I'll definitely say that. And as far as Emmett Matthews goes, his Old Gold and Blue Show says, and as you agreed with, I'll agree with as well. Definitely appears to be much improved. And I think the thing about Emmett that stands out to me, he's shooting the ball well, as you said. And, we talked about his defense a little bit earlier, but I think he's a guy that really does the little things for this team. And the way that I described him, in the post game show last time was I think that he is the glue guy for this team, and I would say he's the heart of the team. It seems like to me, he's probably the leadership guy, and he just seems like a glue guy and a heart guy that even if he's not showing up on the stat sheet on any given night, he's really playing a part in the game, in the outcome, one way or the other.
Yeah, and then for that reason alone, that's usually who I go with, and that's why he's my favorite player on the team. Emmitt Matthews is. And I think you guys could tell
Absolutely.
in the group whenever, I remember somebody had said something to me whenever I made a comment. I was like, because the announcement that Eric Stevenson coming to West Virginia from South Carolina had broke, and then I had gotten on Instagram, and I remember seeing a story. Emmitt had posted a story on his Instagram because I still followed him, even though he went out to Washington. I still liked the player that he was, and he had posted a story that was saying happy birthday to Eric Stevenson. And for whatever reason, it wasn't like that was like, between the lines type of thing. But for whatever reason, I remember I sent that to you guys and was like, man, what if he came back? You know what I mean? Like, he did enter the portal, but what if he came back? And you guys were like, no, not a chance. I was like, I don't know, man.
I didn't see it happening.
I don't know, man. There could be a chance.
Hey, credit to you for calling that one. You definitely called that one.
There's a few things that I'd like to take the credit for calling, but some good, some bad. That's one thing I'll take credit for.
Yeah, likewise. I can attest to that, especially when it comes to lockdown corners and stuff. But that's a subject for another day. We won't touch on right here. But I digress on that. As you see, the final score. Yeah, another time. 75-57, WVU comes out on top of Morehead State. Going to go over some of the individual statistics now. We're talking about some of the players that stood out to us. Let's talk about some of the numbers. West Virginia has 3 guys finishing double figures in this one. 21 points for Trey Mitchell, season high for the Mountaineers so far. 80% on field goals for him. 8 of 10 from the field. 21.6 rebounds. And that was even though he went 0 of 2 from the three-point line, a place where we've seen him have a lot of success up to this point. Even though he had, his worst game shooting the 3 ball, he only took 2 shots there, but he was 80% from the field otherwise. Got his first career start for WVU and, really shows what he can do in this one, I think. And that's just the tip of the iceberg for him moving forward, I believe. And then Jimmy Bell Jr. also, in turn, right along with that, has his best game as a Mountaineer as well to this point. 10 points, 8 rebounds to be another Mountaineer in double figures. And then it was really just a great night for the big men as Muhammad Wagi, the other Mountaineer in double figures with 10 points, 2 rebounds. And then, of course, Emmitt Matthews contributes 9 points, 4 rebounds. And then you get 9 points and 3 assists from Eric Stevenson. And then Joe Toussaint off the bench contributing 5. Kobe Johnson now off the bench with Trey Mitchell into the starting lineup contributing 7 points there, Steven. So I know we talked a little bit about Mitchell and Matthews, but anyone else standing out there numbers-wise that I mentioned or anyone that I didn't mention that you kind of wanted to touch on?
Just lightly, I wanted not that he did that much, but I'm glad to see some playing time from Patrick Sumnick finally. Been hearing a lot about that kid. I really wanted to see him. So glad we finally got to see him.
Yeah, that's a great point. One thing that you can say here is West Virginia, as they did, finally pull away in the end. We know the first half struggled and probably had us all sweating a little bit, but maybe it was just the Mountaineers overlooking this team a little bit, perhaps, because it seemed like when they turned it on late in the first half from then on, it was, no contest, and they looked like the team we thought they could be. But even though they were struggling during that point in the first half, it really just seemed like offensive struggling to me, just not being able to shoot the ball well. Then they started, attacking the rim and going inside to fix that. And, of course, as Steven mentioned, getting points in transition. But I thought the rebounding and defense looked good again. The offense, still a work in progress. I know against Pitt we were really writing home about it. But even as a work in progress, they managed 75 points. Some standout players, 3 guys in double figures, as we said. And, one of them wasn't even one of the guys that was in double figures last game. So you've shown you have 4 to 5 guys that can maybe score double figures on any given night. So I think this is a West Virginia team with good depth. And you saw that with some of the players that got in late, the Josiah Harris, and as you mentioned, Pat Sumnick, coming back from his injury, finally getting in as well. So I think that this is a team that's definitely going to be much improved, and we'll see how much coming up on the schedule as the games get a little bit tougher. But old Gold and Blue Showtime again says, I love Ketty, but Joe should start at point guard. Interesting comment there. I know I've heard a few people say that Joe Toussaint really showed some things, specifically in the previous game where he dropped 18 points. This game kind of came back down to earth a little bit, but him and Keedy been splitting time there. I think they both have great aspects to them, as both of them are great on the ball defenders. Who knows if Keedy's a little bit better, but Keedy does get a lot of steals. So I like him there for that and his experience. But Toussaint, great on the ball defender in his own right, and maybe gives you a little bit more on the offensive end. He's extremely fast dribbling the basketball, great at attacking the rim, and even, getting his own shot. But then at times on the offensive end, he looks like he, maybe can get a bit out of control at times and be streaky. Like tonight when he didn't have it and, wasn't hitting as much, but he did seem to, realize that and, try and transform his game a little bit and do a little bit more on the defensive end and passing the basketball. But what are your thoughts there on that battle between, the 2-point guards, if you can call it a battle as they both coexist at times? But what do you think about Toussaint and Keedy? Keedy's been starting all season. Toussaint coming off the bench. Do you like him providing the spark off the bench, or do you want to see him, take that spot in the starting lineup?
I would actually agree that I think that Joe should start, and I don't think that that's taking anything away from Keedy. I just think that he adds something to our offensive game. I think that Keedy's the better defensive player, and Joe's the better offensive player. Goodness, can't talk at all. But they each have their own special skill sets, but I just think that Joe should start for offensive reasons. But one thing that I do like about this team is, for a couple of reasons that you mentioned, is this team is willing to adapt. Like you mentioned, the first half, the ball wasn't falling, so they had to start attacking the rim and trying to get in shots inside. So that's what they did. And then, like you said, Joe Toussaint was hitting shots and then wasn't hitting shots. So started to go cold there for a little bit. So he adapted and didn't really start to force things up like we've seen people do in the past. And that's one thing that I really like about this team, is sometimes you'll see them take unforced shots, or forced shots, and not really high percentage shots. But those moments don't last very long. Once you see this team kind of get out and discombobulated, they normally take a timeout and they come back, either whether it be out of a timeout or out of halftime for the first few games. They've really gotten anything that they've been doing wrong corrected. And even though I think Pitt was a better opponent than a lot of us are giving them credit for, but some of these other guys that we've been, Bowling Green, Mount St. Mary's State and Morehead State, you really can't judge the level of talent that you are going to have going into a Big 12 type of, league off of those types of games. But I really do think that West Virginia does look far, far more improved than they did last year, just judging off the way they can adapt in a game and their ability to make the crowd excited. So even if we do lose as many games as we lost last year, at least it'll be exciting to do so. It wasn't so much the way that last year. It was kind of sad at times.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fact, and that's why I'm trying not to get too excited in this non-conference play, because I know last year West Virginia, started off the season 13-2, and we know what happened there. But I agree with you. I think this team definitely appears to be much improved in most aspects, and I think like you're talking about, a lot of the things that go with that is the experience. They went and got in the transfer portal, getting experienced players, and more importantly, getting experienced Power 5 players. So I think when West Virginia gets into that Big 12 conference play, they'll be more prepared and they will end up with a better record this season. As I've said, earlier, I think that this team has the makings of an NCAA tournament team. To me, that was my bold prediction. I'm going to stick by that, of course, moving forward. But I definitely agree. They look more improved, but we definitely got to see it in the coming games to see just how much, especially, coming up with that tournament that's coming up in a couple games. We're going to learn a lot then to see just how good this team is and can be. But that being said, we'll get ready to wrap up the post-game show before too much longer. So any final thoughts you guys have there that are in the chat live, please go ahead, drop them in there. Questions, comments, concerns, we'll address them before we get up out of here in just a few minutes. But that being said, if you're in here live or if you're watching this on the playback here on YouTube, do us a favor, hit the like button. That'll help this video's performance, help future videos performances on the channel as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. We're live on the Country Roads Webcast, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you're on the Facebook or the Twitch page, do us a favor, share the video. And then, of course, appreciate you tuning in any other way that you can. Hop over to the YouTube if you haven't already. Subscribe to us there if you can at some time. That will help us there as we continue to get that subscriber count up. And, yeah, that's pretty much, all I got to say there as far as that promoting and stuff goes. But as far as the WVU team goes, Stephen, they've started the season off well. We both to be improved, and to the tune of that, they have gotten 3 wins, coming off their 3rd one here, the victory over Morehead State, 75-57. Any final thoughts on the victory over the Morehead State Eagles and the 3-0 start to the season for the Mountaineers?
Just happy that we are able to see a team win on a consistent basis. I wasn't here the other day for the football post game, so I did want to take this opportunity to not talk about basketball, but I want to talk about Garrett Green and how I told y'all, I've been telling y'all how long, if we start Garrett Green, we go out there and we play him with that offense, we're going to beat a team that we shouldn't beat. Anyways.
You did. You've been saying it. That's been your guy for a long, long time. I got to give you credit where credit's due on that one. And, that's one of the things I pointed out, is that this guy, he almost beat Oklahoma last year, and then he turns around and he does beat him this year. So he's just Oklahoma kryptonite, and I think he's a player that's super talented. So I give you credit there for that one. I think could be a gem. We'll just see if they have my thing is we'll see if they have the courage or whatever you want to call it to continue to play him and to start him. That's what I'm worried about with this coaching staff.
You can give me credit if you want to, but a lot of people on here don't really know my grandfather. Probably no one on here other than a few people that me and that probably know him. But that man has been calling for Garrett Green all season long. He has been the person that has said, why put him in there for a play and then yank him right back out, when it's not even a mistake that he made, So I got to give him credit on that one. He has been the football guru this year on terms of like calling things and predicting things. So yeah, I just think that, obviously Shane Lyons being gone now, that's going to change a lot of things, but we're about to see the ground shake in terms of Mountaineer Nation athletics, I think. So
yeah.
Buckle up.
Well, speaking of that, I'm glad you say that, because it's definitely buckle up's a great way to put it, because it's definitely going to be very interesting and a lot of interesting things to talk about. And in turn with that, it's going to be a lot more content coming from us, and just, to go along with that and to show you that just today, including this video, 6 videos have been released on, I had to think about it there for a second, but 6 videos released on our YouTube channel just today, on a multitude of things: the Shane Lyons situation, the player grade series, snap counts. This is after 10. So both the player grades videos are out now. So those are out on the channel. So there's just all kinds of content coming from us here on the Country Roads webcast side, especially, right now at this time already with basketball season and football season running, concurrently as they do for these few weeks. It would already be a lot of content, but with the Shane Lyons announcement and the future of the athletic department in flux, and who knows what's going to happen there, it's going to be a lot of news coming. So it's going to be a ton of content coming on our end. So no better time to subscribe now, if you haven't already, to us here at the Country Roads webcast when it comes to Mountaineer sports content. So definitely wanted to bring that up, and a great time to do so here at the end. But as far as the basketball team goes, I'm super excited to see just how much improved the team is, because I know they're improved. I can tell just by watching them and by the feel of the team, but I'm excited to see just how much, and we're going to find that out in the coming games. Next one coming up Friday against Penn. We'll be back for a post-game show for that one here, streaming live on the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch pages of the Country Roads webcast. In between them, we'll have a CRW Hoops podcast out, and as I said, all kinds of content out now on the YouTube already. You can go check out 6 videos that came out today. Going to have a couple more coming out in the next coming days with the CRW Hoops podcast and the Kansas State preview podcast on the football side, not to mention anything else that may come out in between there video-wise that we cook up. So check that out for sure moving forward. Excited about this basketball season, Stephen.
Yep. I'm really liking the basketball team so far, man. I really, really like what I see. But hopefully we can get through this Phil Knight Legacy tournament unscathed and win that. And that would impress me a lot more.
That would be a huge statement. I'm hoping, I'd honestly think it'd be even a good statement just to go down there and, get a win or two. I'd be happy with that. We'll see what happens because it's gonna be tough competition. A lot of good teams down there. So we'll see what happens. Can't wait to get to that one. Got one more to get through before we get there with the game against Penn, and then it's on, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, Purdue's no pushovers. So we got games coming up.
Yep. Can't wait for it. And we'll be here to cover it along the way here on the Country Roads webcast with the CRW Hoops side here. Our post-game shows coming throughout the season for each game. And then, of course, the CRW Hoops podcast episodes. One of those releasing on the week throughout the week. So here's a post-game show for you. CRW Hoops podcast episode coming out for you. And then we'll have the post-game show for Friday's game as well for your basketball content. Tons of football content already out on the channel. And as I said, another podcast episode on the football side coming as well. Like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. We appreciate you guys that always tune in and chime in here. And for Stephen, I'm Jordan. And until next time, let's go Mountaineers.